After a month of talk about potential trades or potential options if the Blazers elected to draft in the lottery, the Blazers finally made their decision. And they stood pat. And they took a point guard. This could mean the end of the Damian Lillard era and the start of the Scoot Henderson one. And if you've watched any of our streams, you'll know that I do not want to move on from Damian Lillard. And we had an interesting stream last night as Scoot Henderson is a phenomenal prospect, and I'm going to get into why, but the decision that Damian Lillard will inevitably make is looming over this franchise and this channel right now. I will have a video on that coming up in the next couple of days, but today we're talking about the Blazers' third overall selection, Scoot Henderson. And Scoot is a phenomenal prospect. He's reportedly 6'2 and a half barefoot with a 6'9" wingspan and is just a freak athlete, a freakish first step, explosive going to the rim, very quick in a lot of his movements, very sharp in a lot of his moves as well, has really good footwork, really crafty driving to the rim, is able to get through traffic. His pickups on drive are very good and help him with that. And despite the Blazers having an embarrassment of riches at the guard position the last 7 to 8 years, Scoot Henderson is a different type of guard than Portland has ever really had. He's the type of guard who thrives on putting pressure on the rim and is basically what you would call a walking paint touch. With Damian Lillard, Anthony Simons, and CJ McCollum in years past, those guys relied heavily on three-pointers or mid-range jumpers, and while Dame can get to the rim at quite a high clip, Scoot Henderson is going to be a guy that lives in the paint. There will be a ton of fun, athletic plays for Blazers fans to get excited about, and that'll start in Summer League as the Blazers Summer League schedule was released today, and we'll have more news on how we're going to cover that. But Scoot is going to be electric. I'm confident that at some point he will be a star. Unfortunately, the question will be, can he become as good as Dame was? As far as his passing goes, he's a smart passer. He actually has better vision than I think people give him credit for because they just view him as a scoring guard that's able to get to the rim, but he makes a lot of quick reads, a lot of good decisions. Playing for the G League Ignite, I think, has got him used to processing the game at the pro speed. The G League is obviously a better caliber of player than college basketball, and Scoot has thrived making reads in time against the closest step to the NBA as you can get before you actually get there. And the combination of Scoot's slashing ability, his ability to put pressure on the rim, his athleticism, and his passing ability is why he has potential to maybe become a superstar one day. Lead guards are able to get into the paint, able to score, able to get to the free throw line, which I think Scoot will do quite a bit of, especially as he learns the tricks to do so in the NBA. But they also can run an offense, and Scoot should have that ability and might have that ability on day one. The other good thing about Scoot is his mid-range pull-up, which is truly a legitimate weapon. I do think he tends to settle a little bit too much from the mid-range, but he can get that shot off pretty much on whoever. He gets a lot of elevation on it and is quick getting into it and had good percentages playing for the G League. Now, I view this as just something that can keep defenders honest. Players who only shoot threes and layups at the rim allow their defender to back up more once they reach the mid-range. This is in order to try and meet them at the rim and make that a lower quality opportunity or potentially block a shot. Being able to pull up from the mid-range keeps defenders honest, keeps defenders on him, and I think it makes it a little bit easier for him to beat guys off the dribble because they are worried about that threat of that mid-range pull-up. While good mid-range percentages aren't great efficiency in terms of points per shot, I think it helps generate higher quality looks at the rim and therefore is a good weapon to have. His three-point game needs some work. According to Tankathon, he shot 32% in the G League last year. According to Tankathon, in 25 G League games last year, Henderson shot 32% from three. And that was a bit surprising since he started the season hot, shooting 48% through his first 10 games. He had a massive drop off there. And this is the one area that I worry about with Scoot Henderson is will he be able to knock down threes at the next level? I think his form needs a little bit of work. I think the energy transfer isn't fluid enough. And that's something that some more time with NBA caliber coaching should help him fix. He does have kind of a weird shot, doesn't really have much of a wrist bend on his set point, but we've seen guys be able to effectively shoot like that before, and I think it's more so about the energy from his feet through his release on his shot that needs to be worked on. If he can take his pull-up mid-range stuff out to the NBA three-point line, Scoot Henderson is going to be absolutely unguardable. That is the one thing I really want to see. I want to see him be able to pull up from three efficiently when defenders go under pick and rolls. I want to see him be able to get his defender backpedaling and then pull up on a dime and shoot from three. because he's really impressive with how quick he can accelerate, but also decelerate, which is important in the NBA. Being able to stop on a dime, let your defender fly past you, or let your defender keep backing up, or being able to attack your defender, get them on their heels, and then stop and pop is a massive asset, and Scoot should be one of the best in the league at that. Now, defensively, I have some questions and concerns. I don't like how he guarded up for the most part, and I thought on the perimeter, he had some good moments, but wasn't fully engaged consistently. But first, let's start with screen navigation, because that's something he struggles with, and it just seems like the Portland Trail Blazers cannot bring in anyone who can navigate a screen properly. We talked about it with Jeremy Grant going into last season, and now we get to talk about it with Scoot Henderson. I mean, at this point, the Blazers just need to bring in a coach to solely focus on pick and roll defense. But Dame and CJ never really got through screens well. Anthony Simons has gotten better in that regard. I actually think he's okay getting through screens. Scoot Henderson's screen navigation is not good, and I'm worried about him being put in pick and rolls against guards at the NBA level. There's also times where guys would just blow by him, and it was kind of weird, given his strength and athleticism, why he couldn't keep certain guys in front of him, and that's where I think the lack of effort at times came in. Scoot says he's a dog, he's going to do what it takes to win, but I truly think he can give more on the defensive end than he did in the G League. Now, he was injured to start last season. Maybe that plays a role in it. I don't want to be too harsh on him on that end, but I truly think if he embraces the defensive side of the ball, he can be an on-ball stopper. He has the foot speed. He has the strength. I think he has the attitude. It's really about bringing that consistently on every defensive possession, which gets tough. If he can, then potential pairings next to Damian Lillard or Anthony Simons are a little bit more workable on the court, so I'm hopeful that he can figure this stuff out. If Scoot can become a good defender, it makes his fit next to guys like Damian Lillard, hypothetically, or Anthony Simons a bit better. But the question is, can Dame and Scoot play together? And it's hard to say. I'm hopeful that Scoot can play some shooting guard. However, he was kind of bullied a little bit by bigger guards in the G League and didn't do well holding his own, especially when posted up by these bigger guards. And I think if Scoot plays at the shooting guard position against some bigger guards, he will get abused down here. This will be a massive problem. Now, I don't know what the issue is on these possessions, to be quite honest with you, because Scoot seems like a guy who should be able to get under the guy posting him up, be able to get a lower center of gravity, be able to get leverage with his strength. And these low post possessions, I think, are less due to a lack of height with Scoot and more due to a lack of technique. Now, Scoot has a 6'9" wingspan. I think it might be a little bit longer than that. In a lot of plays where Scoot dunks, it seems like he's not jumping too high, so I'm hopeful the standing reach is high enough where he can bother shots, maybe even block shots on shooting guards that try and attack him and utilize their size off the dribble. I think there is a chance that Scoot could be serviceable at the shooting guard position, but if he's going to be a good defensive player, it's probably going to be guarding ones. We've seen players with his build become really good defenders against twos and even threes. I mean, Marcus Smart is a perfect example of that. He doesn't have the best size, but he battles and he knows the ins and outs and the tricks of being a good defender in the league. Those are things that Scoot Henderson is going to have to learn, but if he can learn that, then you could see a Damian Lillard and Scoot Henderson pairing maybe not being terrible defensively. The question is, how fast can Scoot learn this stuff? Because if the Blazers are keeping Dame, I mean, they gotta try and win over the next 2 to 3 years. There's not a ton of window there. And to wrap up this video, I just think it's kind of surreal that Scoot Henderson is a Portland Trail Blazer. This is a dude who came on the scene for the G League at 17 years old and almost had a triple-double in his first G League game and was phenomenal in the G League for the past couple of seasons. Was well known, was talked about as a guy that in last year's draft might have gone #1 overall. In other drafts might have gone #1 overall. And in this year's draft was the clear-cut #2 prospect behind a more generational guy in Victor Wembanyama. Now, the Blazers got lucky, in my opinion, with Charlotte jumping ahead of them and taking Brandon Miller. I have Scoot a lot higher. I hold Scoot in a lot higher regard as a prospect and a player than Brandon Miller. But for the past 2 years, Scoot just seemed like a guy that would end up on some other team and be fun to watch and interesting to see how his game translated from the G League to the NBA. I never thought that that would be the Portland Trail Blazers that he would end up on. And that's for a multitude of reasons. I thought the Blazers were going to be better this past season. I didn't think they'd be able to get a top 2 pick, which is where I would have expected Scoot Henderson to be drafted. And then, of course, the Damian Lillard situation. Like I said, I'll have a video on that. It's just surreal, man, and Scoot seems like a really good dude and the type of guy that can be a leader for a team, which if the Blazers aren't going to have Damian Lillard around, they're going to need a leader, and I think Scoot could be that day one. So anyway, let me know what you think of Scoot Henderson's game specifically down in the comment section below. I'm looking forward to reading your thoughts. How good do you think he can become? And as far as other prospects go, I'll have a video on both Chris Murray and Ryan Rupert. Those will be coming in the next 24 hours. And then we'll have something talking about the whole Dame saga. Maybe we'll have an update before I'm able to drop that next video. Anyway, thank you for a fun draft live stream last night. Shout out to all of you who showed out for that. And with that being said, I'm out of here. I'll catch you in the next one. Until then, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.